Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I'm back from Busan from attending the BTS live play event on Haeundae Beach. So I sort of went to the concert. I went to the portion where they were simulcasting on a huge screen with other ARMY from around the world to watch in real time the concert. And I know a lot of you have mentioned in the comments that all the streaming platforms that you're supposed to watch it on from overseas had crashed after either 5 minutes or 30 minutes after starting the play. And so I wanted to go into perhaps what was the reason behind that, and also give you my thoughts on what I think BTS actually confessed about their feelings, about their future, and in particular, the undertone is about the mandatory military enlistment controversy. And of course, the sale continues for the EcoFace LED mask. Go beyond Botox, go beyond retinol, go beyond skincare to go deep into the underlayers of your skin so that these lights can stimulate collagen production. And I've heard from the manufacturer that for at least until the end of this year, they're not going to produce any more of the rose gold color masks, and that's the most popular one. And I try to get my hands on as many of them for you guys, but just wanted to warn you that the supply is limited, but the coupon code is still active, Seoulite TV, for $60 off. Just go check it out. So stay tuned. We have a lot to cover. So overall, I would say the concert was indeed a success, given all of the constraints and problems that were surrounding this concert, to see whether they can get this up in time, because we had that very perilous glass factory as the original site with like no work done. And when you saw the actual concert at the stadium, it was like, oh gosh, Busan actually saved itself from itself. The venue was already there. If they had just started at the Asiad main stadium, they would have been able to focus more of their effort on what the concert was supposed to be, which was the Busan Expo 2030 bid to impress the committee that Busan is a place to hold this World Expo in about 8 years' time. But the decision is going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months. And that was very, very reassuring to see that the stadium was there. And I can't imagine having double the number of the people who were at the stadium, because it was only 50,000. But remember, they wanted to throw 100,000 people, probably to their last day, right next to a rocky shore in the middle of the former site of a glass factory. I don't know how they were even thinking of putting in all the standing room and the seats when you saw that that stadium looked like it was packed and very well organized. So thank goodness that that happened. Now, I went, if you saw some of my Instagrams and YouTube shorts, I went over to the Busan Haeundae live play, and so that was simulcast, and people started lining up. And they basically were sitting on the hot sand because it was still hot. I was surprised. I thought it would be a little bit cold. But in the afternoon, like, you could literally just wear just your bathing suit and be okay. And people were lining up definitely before 2 p.m. when I went there to check up on things. So probably since noon or the morning, people were out there camping out to be one of the first. And so I asked some of the people there, how many can get in? And she said 1,800. I was like, are you are you sure it's not 18,000 or 180,000? 1,800 people is like nothing. And so after the people went in, it definitely looked like way more than 1,800. I would say maybe about at least 6,000. But I think what that was a fire marshal 1,800, because in Korea, a lot of the times there are codes. See, this is the thing. There are codes and laws, but a lot of times people don't, follow them. So it was probably like, well, if anybody asked, what we registered was 1,800 people. And that's probably the law for safety. Now, when I went there, I was just like, okay, I'm not sitting on that hot sand, because if you were just outside of the main area where they enclosed off, you would still be able to enjoy the show. So I was like, all right, I'm going at 4:45 p.m. If I get a seat, I get a seat. If I don't, I don't. I felt like I would have more freedom outside the venue, because once you're inside the venue, they're very strict on not being able to film. And so I thought like, well, maybe I would be able to just do some live casting during the concert. And I thought, well, maybe they'll let me in, because this is not the concert itself, it's just the live cast. But they're like, no filming, no live casting. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should have stayed outside. But going inside was still pretty fun. There were definitely tons of army from all around the world. They were discussing like where they could get like the globe thing. I don't know. I'm sorry, army. I don't know. I forgot what the exact term is. That thing with the flashlight thing with the bulb on top. And apparently it was hard to get. And so, but there were a lot of people with it. And so it was kind of fun, because you got to see the big screen up close. And what I noticed from footage of the stadium, if you actually had to sit in the stadium seats, the screen was far away and kind of small. And then definitely the stage and the BTS members were so far away that they were kind of small as well. But at the live cast, since it was such a small space and it was like a picnic-like setting and it was just like a huge screen, it really felt like being up close. However, it did still feel like, oh, we're just like watching TV all together, like on the beach. But it was kind of cool to sit on the beach at Haeundae and be part of this event. And definitely they put in some effort for that stage. There was real fire that went up as special effects, and there was real confetti that also, popped open when the guys on stage had the confetti as well. Not every single time. But that was really cool too. Now, as for security, I think it was like half-half. In the beginning, it seemed like a mosh pit line just kind of going forward. And then it seemed as if maybe the younger security people like started to take charge, because they were just like, okay, go. They created this very intricate system to turn a glob of people into an orderly straight line. And it looked like they actually used some sort of technique or strategy in crowd control. So I felt very reassured by that. There was a lot of patrolling about like not running, not moving fast, and actually safety was at the top of their mind, I think. And that's where I think we really do have to continue to press on the pressure points of where these people who are making decisions, especially about BTS's future, really respond to. Going into this event, there had been so much criticism against the Busan government and the Expo committee that they were not considering the safety of people's lives. And especially after the Seoul ferry incident and people drowning in parking lots from the typhoon, we'll go into that in a different video, people are not going to look kindly and give politicians a pass if people unnecessarily lose their lives due to some sort of preventable accident or tragedy. And so that's the thing that I think we forget. Like, we're trying to argue the merits of the military exemption, but really as what we've seen, military exemption for BTS, but really as what we've seen is that people who are in those positions really respond to what? An event or an incident that would end their political career. That's it. They want their jobs. And I find it ironic too, because politicians are almost like celebrities as well in terms of the shelf life of their career, how in an instant they can lose their career or rocket to success, that they really feel like, oh, it's okay if you just take away 2 years of BTS in this particular time frame of their career. Again, how they feel. Let's take 2 years off of your career right when you're about to ascend or get that position you want or get that election. Yeah, let's just take 2 years off of yours. And so I think that moving forward, when people have been asking about in the comments, what should we do? Should we put more pressure? And I would say yes, because we'll go into this, but I think BTS did not present an image, vibe, and even the words of a group that is just saying like, you guys, we're just gonna go fulfill our service. Don't worry about us. It wasn't like that at all. I think they were trying to, in a way that would not piss off people, call out to ARMY around the world to help them to make sure that their needs and the needs of the audience to have BTS continue to perform are met. Oh, and just as an aside, in terms of security, there was one big security lapse at the Busan Haeundae live play. There was one Ajumma. She was full on Ajumma, or maybe even close to grandma, and she was decked out in purple and lavender from head to toe. She was popping purple flavor and spilling lavender sauce all over the place, and she had even a lavender backpack, and she was holding a BTS concert flyer, and she cut in line. Oh yeah, she just cut. I told you, this is how I practice my Korean, with all those ajummas cutting in front of me at the bakery because they're so addicted to those carbs, that this woman pulled one of those stunts, and then the security was just like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. She's like, oh, I'm just gonna walk, like she was pretending she was looking at the waves, and now she just wants to go back home to the boardwalk, and she was just gonna walk through the line area. Oh yeah, so she was just like, oh, I'm just gonna walk back to the street. No, she didn't. She just kind of blended right into the line, and it was like a Disneyland type of thing. So it was gonna loop back around to where the security people were, but she kind of like tucked herself in a pocket behind some people. Oh, sneaky. Yeah, Ajumma Army, who cut in line and made sure she was able to enter the live play. Now, a lot of you guys have said that Weverse crashed and you weren't able to see anything after a few minutes. Naver now didn't work. Now, the thing is that I've been waiting today to hear any kind of updates or announcements on the Weverse situation, but it seems like it's silent as the grave. So I think, again, you guys should press on them about that, because a lot of you said that you had warned Weverse already, because a lot of the V lives and the live broadcasts on that platform had been crashing and stalling before. Some of you guys have said that like it was like you could see how many people were waiting, and it was like 40 million to 50 million. That is essentially the entire population of South Korea. So that's how many armies around the world. So again, these politicians should understand that the following that this group has is as many, or if not more, than the number of people in South Korea. So an entire nation literally is following BTS and hanging on their every word, and watching everything that they do and being inspired about things that are Korean because of them. And if you add all those people up, that is essentially the political and economic powerhouse of a nation. Now, there's no official word on why Weverse crashed, but very oddly, on that day of the concert, 2.5 hours before the concert, there was a fire at a data center that was responsible for the data for Kakao Talk, the messaging app that we use, and Naver. But the data center was run by SK, and in Pangyo, which is the Silicon Valley area of Seoul, right south of Seoul, about 30 minutes away, there was the data center that was the main data center for both of these companies, and there was some fire in the sub-basement third floor level because of some batteries that blew up or something like that. It seems very shady. I don't know, it seems a little bit odd that it happened on that day, and they're still trying to figure out what caused it, and they said that we're going to try to figure out what caused it. We're trying to get everything back online. But literally, Kakao Talk, which never failed, failed that day. And even though they did not mention Weverse as one of the services that were affected by the fire, all of the Kakao Talk apps like the maps and the store and the payment platform, they all went down and you couldn't message anybody. And then Naver also, that like a lot of their live stuff went down. And if you guys remember, in January of 2021, Naver and HYBE, big hit at the time, announced that they were going to merge platforms to create Weverse and merge VLive into there because they wanted to have this win-win situation. And it looks like that Naver would be the one, like logically, would cover more of the tech aspects and ensure that the data centers would be working at a level that can accommodate a worldwide fandom. And they didn't say that any Weverse stuff was located at that data center, but since that is the main data center, I could think that perhaps that had something to do with it, or at the very least, the amount of staff that was available to troubleshoot Weverse just went straight to the fire. Like, everybody was just trying to figure out how to get this messaging back up. Even the president of South Korea was just like, you guys get that messaging Kakao Talk back up because it's that important to the functioning of South Korea. Without Kakao Talk, literally, like, you can mess with business as usual here in Korea. So I don't know exactly what caused the fire, and we'll probably never really find out, but that may have had something to do with it, or just in general, like a lot of you mentioned, they just didn't do their job in terms of preparing for this surge. On the other hand, this was an Expo event. So shouldn't the Expo have helped pitch in and cover? Of course they didn't. They're going out saying like, oh, we're gonna like spread all this around the world, and they even made some extremely expensive Hyundai Motor, like weird like AI dog type of commercial, and they said like, oh, it's gonna be seen around the world off Weverse, but you guys wasted that investment because it didn't go out. And so all of these costs were covered by people and entities and companies other than the Expo committee, even though all of this was supposedly for the Expo committee. All right, so what were my thoughts on the concert? I thought it was great. I liked it, although I was kind of confused why they were so sweaty at the first song, second song. And all I can think of is that they probably went through the entire concert like as a last minute run through or rehearsal, like right before the actual show, because you guys, the show started on like right on time, and you guys should tell me, like, you know, because I've never been to another BTS concert. Do they usually start on time? I have a feeling that their etiquette is higher than other artists who like come 2 hours late, 3 hours late, or something like that. But they started right on time, but it looked like they had already been performing for hours. So they were probably like rehearsing at the last minute. And this again makes me feel awful about the situation, because they were probably distracted, or because this was like a semi-government event, there's just way too many politicians just trying to get their hands in the pot and like, you know, stroke a moment of glory with like trying to interact with BTS instead of letting them focus on what they needed to do. But of course, you could kind of see that they pulled it off magically, amazingly, and again, artists that really are there to go the extra mile and serve the audience. Now, what I kind of got a feeling of, you know, in terms of watching it live and seeing it in concert format, was I was struck again at how the connection that they've made with the fans in the army really also, I think, mainly come off stage. Like you said, it's the interaction on social media with the fans really then create this connection, and that is extra work. So it almost feels as if like they are top world-class pop stars as an added bonus. I mean, that's how much I think they actually put in terms of effort into the non-musical part, which most artists are not willing to do. And therefore, I think they really are a different breed and class of pop artists. So for the Military Manpower Association saying like, oh, it's just pop music and pop artists, I would say that actually the pop artist part is your bonus. They are essentially cultural ambassadors. If you really look at all of the work they do, they don't have to do any of that. What has been the effect of all that stuff that they've done in terms of interacting with the fans, showing Korea, going on like eating tours, and just reveling in the culture of Korea? They are cultural ambassadors. And of course, we've already gone over how the effect of their mission has given more oomph to the K-wave than any other kind of governmental type of program. Also, I thought it was interesting to note the vibe that I got, and I kind of realized it at the live play concert. These guys are not artists who need the stage and performance to fill some sort of hole or inferiority complex. I mean, if you've worked with enough artists and, people in that entertainment industry long enough, you'll see how many of them need this spotlight in order to fill some sort of deficit in themselves. And of course they're talented, they perform, and they do great things that make you happy, but it kind of feels like you're trading something for it. Whereas BTS, I think what really makes them easy and pleasant to watch is that they're not requiring anything from you, us, the audience. They don't need to pull any kind of your love and adoration. They actually, it seems, are happiest when they're giving their joy and performance and just personality to the audience. So I think if you're trying to think why is BTS more popular than other things? Because they're not expecting, a quid pro quo from the audience, from you, like some other, acts or, stars, or saying oh, look at me, I'm so best, I'm so good, It feels more comfortable to be around somebody who is secure in themselves and then just wants to have a fun time. And I think that definitely came through, even though, now let's go on to the next part, they looked a little bit stressed. They did not look like people who are just saying okay, this is our last show, we're gonna go off into our solo projects and the military happily, because that is what apparently in the media it's been said. Oh, they're so happy to go. Yeah, you guys, don't believe that for a second, because I think this was a call for help. Now, the reason why I think that there's still some negotiation or deals going on is that a lot of you have also mentioned that recently, in the past week or two, there's been a whole slew of Visit Korea commercials made by BTS and released all over the world on different social platforms, and that is run by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. And that's the ministry that gets to decide what kind of performer gets to be exempted from their mandatory military service. Also, we saw last week BTS recorded a message of not supporting the Expo, because they've already had to do that. Now here's another project, the 2023 Asian Cup. So South Korea wants to hold it. They were in the bid process for that, and so they said yeah, bring it to Korea. They recorded this message. Also for the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. So if there wasn't still negotiations going on and some sort of a back and forth, I don't think that they would have been doing that. They're too busy for stuff. So it seems as if they're trying to put as many kind of goodwill favors to this ministry, or maybe they're demanding it still. Again, it feels like they are so being used right now. And if you are on the fence of speaking your opinion, and if that is your style to speak up, or if you want to try it out, I would say go for it. This is crunch time. This is the last leg of the marathon, because the decision supposedly is supposed to come by Jin's birthday, or maybe even after that, but definitely they said December, which basically means they're going to make the decision no later than November. So right now is probably the time where they are ironing out any deals. Now, before we get into decoding what I think the member statement was, I just wanted to mention, you're probably wondering like what my favorite part of the show was. I really loved when they were inside that tram and they were singing, and the cameraman went inside the whole, the train track, and they were sitting as if they were on that BTS bus, the emergency exit for Yet to Come. This was for the song Spring Day, and so I thought that was really cool. And then when they came out of the tram, I thought that was really fun. Okay, so let's decode what they said, because they had their intros, like, hi, they introduce themselves in the beginning, but then also towards the end, they make those heartfelt comments to ARMY and to the audience. And it did not look like these were happy-go-lucky guys who were very positive about the outlook of what's to come. And if it were how the spin is put on BTS in terms of, like from the politicians who are saying like, they want to go to the military because, they're quoted in the media saying that they want to fulfill their duty. Of course, you always have to say that. Don't they even know their own culture? Like, you have to say those things no matter how you actually feel. And of course, the politicians know, but they're just using it to trick the rest of y'all. The reason why I think that they were definitely sending an SOS, a cry for help, is the person that first started it off was J-Hope, and he said that we're entering a period of time to trust. So he particularly used the word 믿음, trust. And he said that in terms of the future of the team, now is the time to trust. Now, this is why I think it's very important to note that he used the word trust, is I think this was actually a message to the Minister of Culture and also Military Manpower Association to say that we are trusting you in this goodwill effort, in all of the requirements that you've set for us in helping your agenda succeed. We're trusting that you're going to fulfill your part of the bargain. And definitely, if it's done in a very Korean political style, none of this is going to be on paper. It's going to be like, hey, trust. And this is definitely more old school. Now there's a lot more written contracts. But in Korea, it was not uncommon at all for every single time people just saying like, hey, we don't have to like hash this out. We don't have to make a contract to make it seem like we're not friends. Like, we should trust each other. And that's why the betrayal rate is so high here, because people just like, turn their back on that. And so I think J-Hope was really saying like, look, we're trusting you. And actually, you shouldn't. None of you all should. And this is why I want to bring this up, because I think their SOS is saying that we're in this position where we have to trust them. We have to trust these politicians to make good on their word. If we do the Expo, we do the Asian Cup 2023, if we do all these commercials for Come Visit Korea, and who knows what else they're all doing, that they're going to fulfill their end of the bargain. And this is why I think it was very important, because when RM spoke, as the leader of the group, he said, I also want to emphasize what J-Hope said about faith and trust. And he said that I think we will be able to move forward and perform happily, so please have faith. So this is the interesting way of speaking. It could be on face value, they're just talking to ARMY and the audience, saying like, have faith that we're still gonna be here for you. But really the coded message, I think, is that they're trying to do whatever it takes in order to fulfill that promise to their fans, but there are these big obstacles in the way. And even RM was saying like, look, I don't have to say that much for you guys to know that there is a lot going on with the future of our group. And then Jimin said like, I think about a lot of these days about growing old. He doesn't want to get old. He wants to continue to perform this way, in this manner, and he's not afraid to look at the next 10 years. In fact, he wants to be together as BTS for the next 30 or 40 years. So these are not statements from people who are thinking like, oh yeah, well, you know what, let's just, let this go, let's go to the military service and see what happens. No, what they're really saying is that they care about being BTS as a group. They want to continue as they are right now. They want to be there for the fans. And so they are expressing, I think, to us that they really care. They want to stay. They don't want to go to the military. And Suga also agreed with Jimin, saying that I want to be here for another 20, 30 years. Everyone, let's grow old together. And he said that the Busan concert had many ups and downs, but what's past is gone, and it's important and meaningful that we make happy memories today. Oh, and by the way, RM said before he spoke that, I didn't really come prepared with anything, and I didn't really know what I was going to say here. Don't believe him. If you hear a Korean person say that, I don't really, I haven't really thought about like what I was going to say here. They thought about it a lot. What they're trying to do, and so don't think that they're a bad public speaker or they're not confident. That's where sometimes this whole stereotype about Asian people being so like, like self-deprecating or whatever. What they're trying to do is say like, don't come after me saying like I came in here with an agenda. They're trying to disarm you by saying like, about what I'm about to say definitely has like some sort of purpose and like a target, but I didn't mean to target you, or I wasn't aiming for your forehead, when they are. So don't believe it. Don't believe it when people are like, I didn't really know what I was going to say here today. They know exactly what they're going to say. And the reason why I say that is that Jungkook, I think, truly did not think about it because, he's the maknae of the group and, I think that's his kind of vibe. And the fact that he said, but I really didn't know what to say. I think he knew what was up, is saying that like, okay, RM, you say it that way, but you really did have an agenda or a message. I actually, I didn't really think about it. But what he did say was that he's been at this for such a long time with these guys. And throughout the process, there were many times he wanted to give up, but it was because of the other members that helped him really re-engage his passion, and then also thanks to the army. And then he also said, I want to do this for the next 10 years. Each member is saying, I want to keep doing this for the next 10 years. Now let's go to Jin, the guy that is in the hot seat. He's the first one that would go to the military if they were gonna have to serve their mandatory service. And he was saying like, I've been under the weather. I've literally been living at the hospital, and he almost couldn't even talk. But he said like once he got on stage, he was able to sing. And he said like, isn't this a sign that this is a calling? This is what we're supposed to do. This is our vocation. This is our destiny, what we've been blessed to do. Again, he is also re-emphasizing that they want to continue to perform. They don't want to have any disruptions and be forced to break up. Okay, V also said that, Army, did you want to see us? I wanted to see you. We said we were going to take a hiatus or break or whatever the controversial word was, but we are back now. And so he was thanking the army for their support. And again, he's saying he wants to continue to see the audience and interact with the fans. Does this sound like a group that wants to just go and leave and be scattered and have their career ended? They are pleading with everybody to say that let us continue our career please, after all that we've done for the nation. I think it was also interesting how they didn't mention the Expo at all. Not one word. They promoted Busan a lot. They gave shout outs to the hometown of Jungkook and Jimin, but they really didn't go on and on about like how this is an Expo event and all of that. So you guys, this is not like a smooth behind the scenes type of thing going on here, because I was surprised by that, because if relations were good with BTS, HYBE, and also the Expo committee, they definitely would have just continued to say like Expo this and Expo please support. They didn't do any of that. This literally looked like they were turning this into their platform of saying like, look, S.O.S, if you were wondering whether we wanted to go to the military and what our real feelings are, they don't want to go. If you were wondering whether we wanted this hiatus break, or basically what we, whether you can debate those words all you want in terms of vocabulary land, but what is not debatable is that they did not continue as their normal selves as a group when they had that strange festa, announcement. And so if there was any doubt that they really wanted to stop, they said in this platform at this concert, they want to continue. They want to keep going. They want to continue to be BTS for the world. So what do we need to do now? I think as ARMY, keep pressing the buttons of the politicians and the people in power. Just make your voice heard. The way that you comment on this channel, spread your beautiful messages. I've never seen so much richness in terms of people describing how they have really taken Korean culture as part of their lives because of BTS. I mean, I am amazed. Just even not just the products that you use, that you consume from Korea, but what that connection is and how that actually has brightened your life and how it has stimulated you to look at the world in a different way, experience it in a different way, whether what you eat, where you go to travel if you come to Korea, or just kind of the different way of experiencing human interaction because of BTS. And that is more powerful than anything that these politicians could ever do. So why are they trying to stop that? So please continue to send your messages. I'll repost some of the social links and also the website links of who you can contact. If you don't know Korean, just scan the page for like an email address and just send your thoughts there. There's no reason to put any fancy salutations, just bombard them with messages. If anything, people look at volume and they'll get somebody else to translate it for them or something like that, but they just seeing like boom, 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 message, I think they will start to think that their future, again, where's their Achilles heel, the point that the nerve you want to press, whether they're going to be able to continue their career by doing what they're doing, or whether they really have to listen to the public to continue their career. And remember, they're public servants, they're public officials. They should be listening to the public. They're not even listening to the Korean public. So, hey, why not put added global pressure? Because sometimes they listen to more global pressure than Korean pressure, even though they always say like, oh, well, like we only, are concerned about what Korean people think. No, trust me, sometimes they're more concerned about what people outside the country think. So who knows what you're going to hit on? This is the time to just throw spaghetti all over the wall. Just throw it and see what happens. And some people are wondering, is it rude? Really? You're too nice if you think that. It's not shade on you, but basically, you don't have to. The worst that can happen is they're just going to delete it. So go for it. And guys, just a quick update on the LED mask. Like I said in the beginning, the supplies are limited for the rose gold color because the manufacturer is thinking of not producing anymore, at least until the end of this year. So what we got now is what we got. I'm going to try to continue to get more supplies of the rose gold color, but also consider the silver, and then of course white and gold in the standard edition. We're always trying to, like, you know, put stuff on the top, and that's important, but really the real regeneration happens below your skin, and you need a tool to do that. And this amazing LED light technology from Korea, it's developed in Korea, and so they take pride in the fact that these lights are high quality, made in Korea. They will go to 2 different nanometer depths of your skin and stimulate collagen, anti-wrinkling effect, and brightening. You'll love it. Give it a try. The coupon code is still active. Get $60 off any of the masks and free shipping all around the world. All right, guys. Well, what do you think? I mean, this was a really great concert, but, you know, again, like, you know, I'm always looking at, you know, trying to see the drama behind the drama. And I think this was really a cry for help and SOS. They need ARMY to stand up for them because they, in no uncertain terms, all said that they want to continue to perform. And I think that is the critical message. They did not say like, oh, we wouldn't mind it, you know, if we left and came back. They want to continue to perform. So I think we need to help them out. Keep sending out your messages to all corners of the world, especially the politicians' offices here in Korea. All right, guys. Well, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.